ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Idea Pitch event of the Student Entrepreneur in Residence program organized by AIC IISER Pune SEED Foundation. As a student representative of AIC SEED, it's a pleasure to host you this evening. We extend a very warm welcome to all of you today to the exciting journey through our budding entrepreneurs' creative ideas for problem solving. How many times while working long hours in the lab, solving scientific problems, or reviewing literature, have we students had a glimmer of a business idea, a passing thought originating from our research? AIC Seed is a technology business incubator that allows you to pursue that glimmer of an idea and build a business around it. AIC IISER Pune Seed Foundation is built to stimulate and nurture the growth of science-based startups by providing the ambience, mentorship, and infrastructure in the form of lab spaces, co-working office spaces, and maker spaces for startups. StEP, or Student Entrepreneur in Residence program, is AIC Seed's flagship program aimed specifically at IISER Pune's vibrant student community, an opportunity for young minds in this premier science institute to propose their ideas for startups. This year, we're hosting the second edition of the StEP competition. As Brian Chesky, the co-founder of Airbnb, says, if we tried to think of a good idea, we wouldn't have been able to think of a good idea. You just have to find the solution for a problem in your own life. And that's what our students have done. In the past month, 24 teams sent in their applications with innovative business ideas to solve very relevant social problems. Out of these, 12 teams have been shortlisted to the final stage, and today, we are so excited to hear them pitch their business idea to our jury of investors. Before we begin our journey, in the spirit of entrepreneurship, I request Ms. Shweta Uttam, Chief Executive Officer of AIC SEED, to speak a few words.
Hello, good evening, and a very warm welcome to the distinguished jury members, board members of AIC SEED, guests from the industry, our sponsors, startups from AIC SEED, students of IISER Pune, and faculty and staff. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you today as we start the second cohort of AIC SEED Idea Pitch event. As you know, AIC SEED is a technology business incubator promoted and hosted by IISER Pune and supported by the Atal Innovation Mission. SEED is an acronym for Society for Entrepreneurship, Education, and Development. So basically, that's what our vision is: to nurture the spirit of entrepreneurship in a knowledge, research, and academic environment like IISER Pune. And to convert this vision into reality, we draw on the strength of our host and promoter institute, IISER Pune, the most valuable asset of IISER Pune. That is the students of IISER Pune. Before we begin, I would like to share that AIC SEED STEP is basically conceptualized to draw on that strength, to leverage that strength. And at the outset, before we begin, first of all, I would like to express my sincere thanks to our donors, corporate sponsors of this program: Expanded Polymer Systems, Deepak Nitrite, and Saujanya Color. Thank you, Jashan, for being here, for taking the time. It's because of sponsors' belief in us and our student entrepreneurs that we had the confidence to run this program. AIC SEED STEPS program is one of our flagship program, and just like our promoter and host institute, IISER Pune, believes in offering education in interdisciplinary sciences coupled with research, at AIC SEED, we also believe in providing a holistic entrepreneurial experience to our students, which is a combination of education and experience. So the focus is on a do-it-yourself approach, wherein students learn the flavor of entrepreneurship before they decide to take in a plunge. Last year, we ran our first cohort of AIC SEED STEP. 18 students were designated as AIC SEED STEP Fellows. And they had a 6-month period wherein they worked on their ideas, tried to see if there were feasible solutions to develop into startups and whether they themselves as students would like to explore entrepreneurship as a career option. There were a lot of learnings during this process, both for the AIC SEED STEP fellows as well as for us. Some of the learnings were they learned that how merely ideas are not sufficient to make it big in the startup world. Ideas need to be backed with a lot of efforts, time, and dedication. They learned how to select right partners and teams. Team members based on complementary skills and shared values, not merely because you're coexisting in the same campus. That's something they realized when teams fell apart. They learned how to pitch their ideas outside the confines of the campus. Many of our AIC SEED STEP fellows, they shared their ideas on different forums, including Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, IIT, Roorkee, and they learned how competitive the world outside is. They learned how ideas should be protected. They learned that they were not ready to make it big as an entrepreneur. Nevertheless, some of them decided to invest more in acquiring scientific skills before taking the entrepreneurial plunge. In terms of learning, this was a big step for us. Amongst participants from the last cohort, there were many students who were not selected as AIC SEED STEP fellows, yet they chose to pursue their entrepreneurial vision. We have some of them over here who went on to successfully raise funding opportunity for their startup. Thank you, Mashankar, for going ahead with Ushma. There were some students who were not selected for the AIC SEED STEP cohort, but yet they chose to attend each and every session, including my host today, Gauri, because they were so keen to explore different business aspects of converting an idea into a startup. There were many students who applied last time, their ideas were not selected, and this time they are the ones presenting. This is what entrepreneurship is all about. It means persevering, pivoting, exploring new collaborations, new opportunities, and not giving up. For us also, there was a learning. We realized that a 2-minute performance on stage is not necessary to translate into a successful performance in the market. So going ahead, what we have done, we understand that the value of a startup is based only 10% on the idea, and 90% it is the execution, just like the tip of an iceberg. That's what people say. The value of a startup gets compounded by the execution effort. So recognizing that, this time we are not going ahead with the pre-seed funding to first winner, second, and third. The 6 teams who will be selected today out of the 12, each of them stand an equal chance to raise funds depending on the merits of the case. We promise you from AIC SEED that we are here to support you and raise funds, provided you are also committed and there are merits in the business case. For those of you who may not be designated as AIC SEED STEP fellows today, let me re-emphasize that this is not a zero-sum game. It is not that if you don't win today, your idea has to be abundant forever. AIC SEED welcomes you to share your ideas. Even if you're not designated as AIC SEED STEP fellows, we will find opportunities, we will invest in your ideas, provided it meets the conditions which we will suggest, and we'll help you achieve them. We'll help you raise funds from outside, and we'll be open to investing ourselves. I would also like to invite those of you who have not shared your ideas to feel free to walk in any time to us at AIC SEED, knock at our doors and share your ideas. You are not going to be judged. The more number of ideas you share, the more the chances are that you will succeed. During the last 1 month, 12 teams have tirelessly worked on perfecting their ideas, their pitches, pivoting their business models. It's my sincere request to all the guests and the honorable jury members. For next 1.5 hours, please let us keep aside the spirit of caution and practical realities. For the next 1.5 hours, please join us in joining these adventurous young budding entrepreneurs on their entrepreneurial journey. Let us explore their ideas, the thought process behind it. They are flavored with the optimism of youth. They are untouched by the harsh realities of the business world for which AIC SEED STEP is going to anyway prepare them. Thank you.
Under your guidance, as we celebrate the spirit of entrepreneurship among students today, I would like to invite the founders of 4 student-led startups incubated at AIC SEED to do the honors and launch the program. Please join me in welcoming them on stage. First, we have Chinmay Patwardhan, the co-founder of Curem Biotech LLP, a startup which is developing deep learning and microscopy-based devices to increase the accessibility of diagnostic methods. Curem is the recent recipient of the Bayrak Beg Award. Please welcome on stage Uma Shankar. He is the founder of Usham Private Limited, a startup working on products for sustainable and clean energy, particularly solar energy. Usham has been a recipient of the Startup India Seed Fund. Next, please welcome Ash Chavan, the co-founder of BioFound Biotech Private Limited, which is focused on developing genetically modified microorganisms with industrial applications. Another one of our student co-founders is Kavya, the co-founder of Sera Zines LLP, a startup working towards providing products and services for differently abled students in the field of science education. Unfortunately, Kavya could not join us here today. May I request our student entrepreneurs to launch the event?
We declare the event open.
Thank you, Chinmay, Ash, and Uma Shankar. I'd now like to invite Dr. Aravind Chinchure onto the stage. Dr. Chinchure is a leading innovation and entrepreneurship evangelist in India, a renowned academician, and the newly inducted member of AIC SEED's board of directors. He holds a PhD in physics and has decades of experience in R&D, innovation, startup venture investment, and policy making. He designed and implemented India's first 2-year residential and experiential MBA course on innovation and entrepreneurship at Symbiosis Institute of Business Management, Pune. He has also been a visiting scholar at various world-renowned institutes such as Stanford University, Princeton University, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and the Max Planck Institute, Stuttgart and Dresden. Dr. Chinchure is also a director on the board of Deshpande Startups, India's second largest incubator dedicated to enable entrepreneurs in semi-urban and rural communities in India. Till recently, he also led Deshpande Startups as CEO. Currently, Dr. Chinchure is the chair professor of innovation and entrepreneurship at the Symbiosis International University, Pune. With great pleasure, I invite Dr. Chinchure onto the dais to share his thoughts with us in the inaugural address.
Wonderful to be here. Thank you, Shweta, for inviting me. Dr. Shivaram, you have been an architect and inspiration to this entire AIC SEED. It's such an honor and privilege to be here to meet Dr. Richard Lobo and Parul, entrepreneur, very, very successful entrepreneur from Pune. I'm not sure how many of you know that C.V. Raman was an entrepreneur. How many of you? Do you know that C.V. Raman did entrepreneurship? Because all of us, we know him as a scientist, right? Big Nobel laureate, but very few know that C.V. Raman did entrepreneurship, particularly when he wanted to build Raman Institute. I think this could be a good assignment for all of us, or for all of you, to look at C.V. Raman's life, because this is C.V. Raman Auditorium. So we are sitting here in C.V. Raman's auditorium, and we can say that Raman was an entrepreneur also. So I thought just a few minutes interact with you. So you are seeing the screen, right? And what the screen says that there is a earphone or headphone, and it says that headphone, a new breed of headphone, powered by the world's first and patented, and it's a hybrid acoustic system which can do both air conduction and bone conduction based earphone. And I just wanted to check with you, because this is an entrepreneurship event, right? It's not a serious science talk. So can you guess whom would have dared to do something like this? World's first, patented, which uses air, which uses bone conduction for headphones. Anyone? Do you think which company must have done this? Shokes Technology? Yeah. Okay. Anyone from students? Huh? Bose? Naturally, right? I know one of the best companies that we admire for quality of headphones or sound is Bose. Okay. Keep thinking. It's not changing. Can you change the slide, please? So this is a headphone while you think. Of course, you can hear flawlessly. You can feel the music. You can get immersed in this particular music. And it's like a beast. You can boost your bass to the extent that is possible. You can hear the entire music in the almost entire spectrum. So next slide, please. Now, there are reviews of this headphone. And what these reviews say is practically any of the best ever headphones made. And then you can see that this is a phone unlike anything you have heard or felt before. And this is, by the way, are very, very prestigious organizations reviewing this headphone. I'm just making you think, who must have done this? We have one Bose, there's another company. Can you think? Boat or Hammer? Again, Boat is in India, right? And Boat must have done this. Naturally, yes please. Sony? Wow. So these are the big companies, right? Big corporates. First, name that comes to us is Bose, Sony, and all these companies. Next slide, please. Now, very interesting. This is the product that was made. And then it went into Indiegogo website to pre-order this headphone. And I'm one of the person who has ordered this phone. I must have paid 17,000 rupees to get this headphone sometime in January, I don't remember. And people are waiting to get this headphone. When paying in January, today it is August, and I receive a communication from the company that you will get this headphone perhaps in the first week of October. And this is the headphone which has been purchased by people from almost 50 countries, pre-ordered. Now, if I go and want to buy a Bose, I just go and buy a Bose or Sony or any other product that you can think of. But here is a product made, one of the best products, which the world says, and then you have to pre-order and wait for almost 10 months to get that product. Still, I'm giving a chance. Can you guess anyone who must have dared to do this beyond these companies? No? Let's go to the next stage. This headphone is developed by two young students. And by the way, these are not the students from IIT, or for that matter, IISER or IIC. These are the two students, Navjeet and Jagat. They were the engineering students in a very small college in Manipal, not by the way Manipal Institute of Technology. It's called Sahyadri College. None of us must have even heard that college. These two engineers, Navjeet and Jagat, said, we will make a headphone, which is possibly best headphone on the planet. And today, it is said it's one of the best or best headphone on the planet. There's a deep science, lot of engineering, and also software. Navjeet has written 1.3 million lines of codes. 1.3 million lines of codes apart from bone conduction mechanism. And these students dared and built this product, and people from 50 countries are waiting to get the product, and after paying for last 10 months. So, I wanted to share what is possible today. And next thing is, this was not done in Mumbai, not in Delhi, not in Pune, not in Bangalore. This product was developed, designed from the scratch to the prototype, to the first batch of manufacturing was done in Hubli. Hubli, Dharwad. You may not have even heard the name of a town called Hubli, which is a town between Pune and Bangalore on NH4. Right? Two students from a small college, from Sahyadri College, from Manipal, dare to do this. And by the way, Bose has invested in this company. Can you believe this? Bose has come and invested in this company, and that was done. And now it is being manufactured in Noida or Delhi. This is what is happening in India, and this is what students can do in building the product which is the best product in the world and best product on the planet. And that's the story of Navjeet and Jagat. And I can go on talking about more and more such stories just from Hubli. And if you look at student startups from BITS Pilani, incredible startups. You should just look at some of the products and solutions that they're developing. And it's very, very we should look at BITS, the kind of a culture they have built where students can really, build some of the best products and solutions and this thing. So recently I was in Delhi, I was invited by Startup India to interact with the entire Startup India team. Everybody now, there is going to be Startup India 2.0, and they asked me, what next in startups in India? So we have seen 3 waves of startups in India. The first wave was IT services. Second was e-commerce. We had all Flipkarts and so on. And third, today we are looking at deep tech. If you look at all of you who are sitting here, looking at deep tech and other things. So what next? What is the next wave of entrepreneurship that can come out from India? And my answer, with all conviction and confidence, I said, the fourth wave of fourth wave of startups, entrepreneurship in India will be driven by students, youth, and women. And you will mark my words that the next wave of entrepreneurship from India will happen through youth, through students, and through women. We have not tapped their entrepreneurial potential. And I believe strongly that this is going to happen in India. And today, we are here in this particular event called StEP for encouraging students, entrepreneurs in IISER. So I'm such a honored, to be here. I thought I was given 5 minutes to share my thoughts about student entrepreneurship. I feel, if you go to the next, this is the best time to become an entrepreneur in India, and particularly student entrepreneur in India. Parul, do you believe this? Absolutely. That's what she says. She's the jury. And let's make use of this. And all of you can build billion-dollar companies, trillion-dollar. Of course, it's not easy. Entrepreneurship is not easy. And just, last point, once we were having a conversation with the chairman of a, say, $100 billion company, and we asked, what is that one skill you will look while hiring, say, senior leadership or team members? And that one skill came out to be entrepreneurial skills. Entrepreneurial skill. You need not be entrepreneur. Everything, all 10, 12 teams who are presenting, they are now becoming entrepreneurial, which is the most important skill today is needed both in corporates and in academia. So, all the best to you, aspiring entrepreneurs, and some of you must be, want to get inspired by some of the ideas that are presented. And all those 12 teams, all the best. It doesn't matter what happens, but keep trying. And remember, this is the best time to be an entrepreneur, and particularly to be a student entrepreneur. Thank you, Shweta.
Thank you, Dr. Chinchure, for those inspiring words. I'm sure our participants today have got a boost of confidence from those words. May I please invite you on stage, and may I please invite Dr. Nirmalya Ballav, Director of AIC SEED, to please felicitate Dr. Chinchure. Dr. Chinchure, may I please request you to remain on stage to welcome our jury. First, we have Dr. Richard Lobo, the Head of Innovation and R&D and the Chief Ethics Counselor at Tata Chemicals. Over the past few years, he has been responsible for developing strategies for growth in South America, Africa, Australia, and Asia. He has over 20 years of experience in leading businesses, business strategy, and innovation. As an inventor and author, Your Story in 2020 chose Dr. Lobo as one of the top 50 storytellers that bring ideas to life. He has been recognized as a global industry expert in design thinking by the Economic Times Masterclass in 2021 and was featured on the cover page of Silicon India magazine and the Industry Outlook magazine in 2022 for leading next-generation technologies. Dr. Lobo is a trained biotechnologist and got his further education at the Indian Institute of Management, Kolkata, the Indian Institute of Technology, Mumbai, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, USA, Harris School of Public Policy at the University of Chicago, and was coached by foremost Harvard professors at the Tata Group Senior Leadership Program. Furthermore, he is a 3-time gold standard champion at the Tata Business Excellence Leadership Program. Our next jury member is Dr. Parul Ganju. She is a scientist entrepreneur and the co-founder and CEO of Ahamune Biosciences, a clinical stage therapeutic focused company based out of Pune. Having completed her PhD in skin biology, Dr. Parul set up Ahamune with a vision to translate her science into products which would be useful for the society. Ahamune's first drug candidate is an indigenously developed, safe, and efficacious treatment of the skin depigmenting disorder, vitiligo. Clinical studies are underway for this promising molecule in human subjects. Besides research and development, Dr. Parul also leads business development, fundraising, and investor relations at Ahamune. Dr. Parul has published her scientific research in leading international journals, filed for multiple patents, and has been a recipient of several awards, including the Woman Scientist of the Year 2021 and Woman Entrepreneur of the Year in 2022. We welcome you, Dr. Parul Ganju. Please join me in welcoming our next jury member, Mr. Sanjay Fadke. Mr. Sanjay Fadke is a fintech specialist, health tech mentor, author, and explorer. He has about 3 decades of experience from engineering to global finance to technology revolution and the integration of finance, technology, and health science. He's the head of Global Platforms Alliances for Vienna Network and also the founder of Virtual Sense Global Technologies, a company developing pioneering products based on breath science for a better life. Mr. Fadke is an engineer, a management professional, and an alumnus of the Wharton School. Our last jury member for the evening is Dr. Nitin Shukla. Dr. Shukla holds a doctoral degree in biomedical research and is a registered Indian patent agent. She has been awarded the Women Scientist C scheme from the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, for training in intellectual property rights. She is a DST IISER Khurana Tech Transfer Fellow, trained in the University of Wisconsin, Madison. She has also been nominated by the Indian Patent Office for intellectual property rights training programs for the managers in the Patent Office, Japan. Currently, she is a principal scientist and heads the intellectual property group of CSIR NCL Innovations, India's leading IP management group in the non-profit sector. She has over 15 years of work experience at the intersection of science, law, and policy advising. Besides working on intellectual property-related issues for project agreements and licensing, she's also into research and was a Chevening Fellow in the University of Oxford. Thank you, Dr. Chinchure. Welcome once again to our jury members as they take their seats on stage. Okay, without further ado, let's take off and fly through the innovative minds of our budding entrepreneurs. We have 12 finalist teams pitching their business ideas today. Each team gets 3 minutes to deliver their pitch, followed by a 4-minute Q&A session with the jury. To gently let the speakers know they have only 10 seconds remaining, we will remove the spotlight and light up the whole stage after 2 minutes, 50 seconds from the pitch start. At the 3-minute mark, we'll have a bell ring. The jury will evaluate the teams based on the necessity and relevance of the problem they address, the innovative solutions, the roadmap, and the Q&A session. In the case of a tie and scoring, the team's time management during the pitch will be considered. At the end of the event, 6 teams will be selected by the jury as selected StEP fellows, among which 1 will be declared the winner of StEP 2023. The 6 StEP teams will have the opportunity to incubate at AIC SEED with the StEP fellowship of 10,000 rupees per month for 6 months to develop their businesses and launch their startups. So let's begin with our first team of the evening, the Sentinel. In a world with increasing concern over combating mental health challenges, they are here to propose a cost-effective platform to help tackle mental health issues in rural India.
This is the story of Chandrika, a 16-year-old girl belonging to a remote village in Maharashtra. She wanted to pursue higher education, but her family forced her to quit school at an early age. She dreamed of living in a big city someday, but her parents married her off to another family in her village. She was eventually surrounded by people of all ages, yet she could not feel more lonely. She began to develop self-destructive thoughts, and all she received was blame for it. As she began her march towards self-destruction, there was not even a single obstacle in her path. We cannot even fathom how many such rural people are cursed with living within such a distorted reality created by their own innocent and unwell minds. According to ICMR, 1 in 7 people suffer with mental illnesses in India. The map on the right represents the suicide rates of farmers across different states, and we can see that Maharashtra ranks on the 2nd position. The chart in the middle gives us the distribution of suicides by professions, majority of which consists of daily wage earners and housewives. And on the left, amongst the total number of people who committed suicides, 66% had an annual income less than 1 lakh and 29% had an annual income less than 5 lakhs. These mental health conditions not only cause people to harm themselves, but also to the other innocent people around them.
If only these people could have access to support, education, and empowerment that they deserve, they could be one of the greatest assets a country could possibly have. We, the Sentinel, present to you our humble attempt at addressing this widespread issue, Mana Chandrika, meaning the mind's glow. It is envisioned to be an online platform with AI-powered screening of up to 5 mental health conditions in several languages, with access to certified professionals and an open and warm community of people with similar struggles. My teammate Yash is a mathematics major here and has not only theoretical but practical experience of how machine learning algorithms are formulated and implemented. I am Parth, and throughout this year, I have explored and developed a keen interest in marketing, finance, and entrepreneurship, all of which I intend to actively pursue into the future. With the expertise of AI for Bharat to develop this AI-powered software and its translation into multiple languages, with the collaboration and guidance with multiple psychologists and psychiatrists, such as those from Bharati Hospital, for testing of the software and other compliances, and with the support of local committees and clinics to spread awareness of our platform throughout these rural villages. Our vision is to reach every village, every district, every state in the country in all possible languages, such that regardless of their background, any mentally unwell person can begin to access a brighter future.
We have 4 minutes for the jury for the Q&A session.
Congratulations, wonderful pitch and wonderful idea. I think it's high time that everybody starts talking about mental health. Just one other, it's curious question. One is talking about mental health, and the second is even realizing there is an issue. I'm not sure, what have you thought about making rural people, because they're not even aware that there is an issue with them. What are your steps, what are the steps that you're taking to making them realize that they have a problem?
So we would like to target the PHUs, the primary health units in villages, and we'll also go to the private hospitals in the rural villages. And we would like to collaborate with them. And like according to statistics, we have only 2 mental health professionals per million population in India. So the first thing is, if we collaborate with the primary health units and the rural hospitals, we will, with collaboration with them, we might be able to get, we can deliver this like screening tool to majority of the patients. And for spreading awareness, we would like to do campaigning through radios and social media. I know that this sounds very weird, but a lot of villagers do use social media like Instagram and Facebook. And yeah, so our main target will be taking the help of the rural hospitals and campaigning through social media and spreading awareness across, by going in person to different villages.
That becomes your first step,
Yeah.
spreading awareness.
In fact,
Yeah.
the 10 lakhs that we are asking, 2 lakhs has been allocated to spreading the awareness.
Excellent. Just
And other 3 lakhs of it is actually like physically visiting to these PHUs. In fact, we would also train them to use our software in order to like make it more accessible for rural people, because many of them may not have, so it's, as I mentioned, it's an app. So they may not have smartphones, but staff at PHUs may have access to those smartphones. So we would train them so that they can extend out those services to other rural people.
just very quickly, can you just talk a little bit about the app per se? Just 30 seconds. Can you explain
Yeah.
what it is?
So basically, it's an AI software which will give you prompts. So as I mentioned, we know psychologists and psychiatrists who are senior, and such as the ones at Bharati Hospital here in Pune itself. So there are certain screening tests. As I mentioned, 5 conditions we are aiming on targeting: so anxiety, depression, addiction, OCD, and phobia. These have standardized screening tests, and these are available in books such as Synopsis of Psychiatry, etc. And it's not like we are the only ones who are going to do this. They are going to help us train this algorithm along with AI for Bharat, whose initiative is making these AI tools more accessible by translating them into regional languages. So coming back to the idea, basically the AI will be trained on these screening tests, and it will give prompts in regional languages. And we are starting with Marathi because we are starting on intend to target just Maharashtra in the at first. So it will give you prompts, and you will answer in Marathi to those prompts, and it will evaluate based on those tests. And there are also certain scales like Hamilton scales to evaluate. So it will just give a suggestion whether you have some condition or not. Yeah.
Thank you. I think it was a very good presentation, good interplay between the two of you. I'm going to a very first point, which is on stigma. How do you propose to address that? See, particularly rural India, let's say you get somebody on the app or you get them to the public health unit and the person gets tested. You're talking about 5 tests, right?
5 possible, yeah.
5.
Yeah.
How do you communicate that to the person? How does that person assimilate the information? How do they then get integrated back into society, having this knowledge as well as then getting medicated? So I think you're able to identify the problem, but then how do you become a part of the solution is the question I'm asking.
So as you mentioned, we want to partner up with PHUs and private hospitals which are at the level of rural areas and small towns. So at both of these places, we would ideally like to have a staff of ours who would guide these people who are coming in, initially just to like tell them ki, oh, this exists and this is how you can do it. And as I mentioned earlier, we would like to train staff at PHU, existing staff, with our service. So as patients are coming in, they can also tell them that this is also something that exists. In fact, there is DMHP, which is District Mental Health Program, and government allocates about, I think 2022, they allocated about 1,200 crores to this. So government has an initiative towards this. We are just bolstering their own initiative by providing our own service and making it more accessible. So we would collaborate with them to spread awareness. And same thing at the level of a private hospital. Yeah.
I have another question. You can choose not to answer.
Sure.
But maybe you should reflect on it if it becomes, if your product has to become at scale. What happens if the core, which is your public health professional, is not adequate to address the mental challenges and problems that you've identified?
Team Sentinel, you have 1 minute to answer that.
Could you clarify that question again?
So if you don't, if the professionals that you have, you're going to rely on the public health unit, right? You can't employ professionals, isn't it? If they're not, let's say, quote unquote, competent enough, then what do you do? Because you're talking about rural India.
Right. So Again, this is a screening test. It will just give a result whether someone has a mental health disorder or to what extent it has based on the scale.
So my only, because she said 1 minute,
Yeah.
I'm rushing.
Yeah.
Reflect on the fact that while you are part of the identification of the problem, how can you accelerate the solution? And that would be the test between, you know, what they call the Lakshman Rekha, the test between a phenomenal success of your tool. Thank you. I don't want to take the time from the other
Thank you,
judges.
Team Sentinel. Can we have a round of applause for our first team of the evening?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have another business proposal in mental health care, this time in academic institutions. Please welcome Team UniCare to share their ideas.
Growing up, most of us are unaware of notions surrounding mental health. Depression and anxiety are always things that happen to someone else, never us. But when it is us, it suddenly feels a lot more real, doesn't it? Take a second, look to your left, and now look to your right. 2 of the 3 of you will be diagnosed with a mental health disorder, given a DSM-5 test. These numbers sounded a little too extreme for us, so we decided to validate them ourselves. We ran a student survey on campus, and guess what? The numbers were much worse. As I'm sure would be the case for all such academic institutes around India. Last year, we lost a friend of ours on campus to suicide. None of us could have seen it coming, and none of us really did. Following something like this, there is always this residual guilt of not having done enough. Maybe I could have changed something. So now we're doing our best to. The social stigma and shame surrounding something like mental health turns it into an isolated battle with yourself and for yourself. UniCare is here to change that. An anonymous matching algorithm and the student community from that particular university are at the heart of our app's functionality. The algorithm strives for compatibility, not just similarity, by considering factors like emotional resilience, triggers, coping mechanisms, usage patterns, and much more things, to come up with a more holistic list of matchings. Once we have a support group like this, the possibilities are endless. You can have anonymous conversations, peer tutoring, follow-ups, check-ins, university resource integration, hotlines to counselors, you name it and we can get it done. You'll never have to fight alone again. Most of the mental health apps in the market like Headspace, Calm, primarily focus on meditation exercises, but really fail to address this problem at hand. We firmly believe that UniCare here offers the support that a lot of the students here are lacking. So what happens with something like this is, these people primarily work on very isolated sort of models where a person themselves just introspects, or it's complete reliance on just that one person. But what we want to do is for people to have a community that they can interact with. Like, if you look at that, the counter, every second you'll see around, every 3 seconds there's a ticker going up. The issue with this is every 3 seconds there is a suicide attempt and a suicide death for every 40. If you can, like just in these 3 minutes that we've had together, 60 people have committed suicide and are like now essentially boiled down to dots in a database.
Thank you, Team UniCare. Sorry to interrupt, but we have to in the interest of time. Yes, maybe we could start the Q&A session from our other jury members this time.
Great, wonderful presentation. I think very, very real problem, and I think clearly you've seen it. And nothing works in entrepreneurship as well as a problem that you yourself have seen and faced. So, fantastic. Would like to understand one key aspect of this. You know, for people who need help, so you're basically matching people who need help to people who can provide help, right?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
It's basically a matching algorithm. What is the incentive for people who will want to provide help? I think is an interesting aspect if you have
Right,
thought
of
about
course.
it.
So I think one fundamental thing that all humans share, I think, is a concept of empathy, which I think like you would want to help out a friend. If you personally knew somebody who was struggling, you would want to lend a hand. And if I can just go back, 98% of students that we asked on campus said that they are willing to help a person in need. And I think that is the primary driving factor, this underlying empathy that all of us share to want to see our friends get better, our peers get better somehow.
But again, you have to still cross the stigma that got talked about earlier, right? So
yes.
that's second problem as well.
Yes. We consulted Rebecca D'Souza. She's the counselor on campus. And she says that the problem isn't that people have mental health issues. The bigger concern is that they're not really willing to talk about it, or they don't have the resources to talk about it with friends. Isolation is a big, big concern with something like this. But what happens is the anonymity of it, the stigma comes from the fact that even if I'm seen near that section of the building where the counselor's room is, what will people say? But the anonymity in terms of, let's say, one-on-one, let it be a forum, maybe a one-on-one anonymous conversation, that brings a sense of security that you don't have to worry about anybody else judging you.
So I would say a very pertinent question to work on. And indeed, we all have seen in some of the other phases of our lives personally also. So just one question, like the data says that 98% are willing to help their friends in need, right? And 71.4% get support their friends also. But still, the suicide rate is so much. People are into anxiety and depression, right? So there is some sort of disconnect between what people need or rather are not asking and what others can provide. So how do you plan to bridge that disconnect?
Again, I think I would like to circle back to maybe how the difference between people wanting to help and still the disconnect, like you said, that there is a gap that needs to be bridged. The issue is we don't talk about it. I think help in a sense, especially the primary screening of most things. Peers are always your first line of support. Like before anybody goes to a counselor, you talk to a friend or even a family member. So there will always be friends will always be the first people who can help with something like that. But some people are just isolated, like socially isolated. Even within a group, there is not enough communication just because of the stigma that there is. But once you bring the anonymous aspect into it, where they can like themselves control whether they want their identity to be known, people are much more willing to actually talk about their problems because everybody needs help sometimes, and most of the people do want to.
So this again leaves it to the chance of the person who needs help and who is also willing to take help, right?
Right.
So do you think as a student that opening up communication channels, right from the word go, can help students also to open up and talk about their actual issues, or some sort of specific entrance thing when we judge that these problems may be there with the candidate?
The issue with something like that is like IIT Kanpur very recently decided that they're going to make it compulsory for to have a counseling session, and they are planning to do it within 3 months. But something like that, the issue is it's not a one and done thing. 3 months you can't get it finished and have no mental health issues or even a diagnosis properly, because some of these extend out to 6-7 months. So with something like this, it needs to be a long, continuous process. I fortunately have a very nice peer support group, like Raman right here. He's helped me till 3 a.m. in the night studying. There's like Prarabh, there's friends, all of my friends sitting here. And fortunately, everybody does not have that form of support. I think something like this is consistent work over and over. So a test initially can't, up to an extent, decide the procedure with which we proceed.
Okay, thank you.
So to add to that, our app, basically the matching algorithm clusters people together on the basis of certain factors, such as the time of usage of the app, for example, their coping mechanisms, their triggers and all. So what the algorithm basically does is it groups people not just based on same issues, but based on compatibility. So someone who can actually provide the help they need. So, yeah.
Thank you, Team UniCare. Let's have a round of applause for Team UniCare. Challenges to menstrual health and hygiene are faced by a large sector of women in India. Please welcome our next team, Period Care, here to bring an affordable solution to menstrual hygiene problems.
Meena is a young girl from a small village, Tenambadi, in Tamil Nadu. She has just got her first period. Shocked and scared, she approaches her mother. Her mother calms her down and tells her that this is completely normal and this is going to happen to her every month for the rest of her life. And then she picks up a small stash of hay and hands it to her and teaches her to use that for her flow. Although dubious, Meena agrees and continues to do so for a few months. A short while later, Meena contracts severe abdominal pain and is taken to the hospital where she is diagnosed with pelvic inflammatory disease and is told that she may never be able to give birth to children. Meena is not alone. About 88% of all Indian women still continue to use inhygienic homemade products for their period. And a shocking 70% of all reproductive diseases are caused due to this poor menstrual hygiene. A lot of solutions exist in the market today to solve this problem. The most common one being the sanitary napkins. A recent study on all Indian sanitary napkins show that they contain harmful chemicals such as POCs and phthalates that may even cause cancer. And they're a huge burden to the environment. Hence, we propose the solution, period care. It is a biodegradable, reusable, and a safe period panty, which will be designed to mimic a regular panty in order to counter the taboo faced by insertable products. It will be made 100% of biodegradable materials, starting with the sealage layer, which will be a cornstarch-based plastic, a bamboo-based absorbent layer, and a cotton top sheet. All of these materials are easily obtained and cheap, and will hence make our product affordable to the general public. This is an innovative, sustainable, and a viable solution to this problem that not only saves the environment, but also improves the menstrual hygiene of millions of women. As you can see, our customer base is a very large one, and we will be primarily focusing on rural women, where we will work with NGOs who already work on this problem, and we'll help them set up home-based factories where they will produce these our products and this will not only give them economic stability, but also improve the menstrual hygiene of their community. The Indian feminine hygiene market is a very large one, with a very high growth rate of 14.8%. Hence, this makes it an excellent business venture as well as an investment opportunity. Our initial ask is of 20 lakhs, and we will be using the next 6 months to perfect and improve our prototype. This is Akanksha and Ruchir, and we bring to you period care.
Great presentation, Akanksha, and very good problem statement. Just a small question. How there are period panties available in the market. So how does your fare in comparison?
How is it better?
Yes. What is the USP that you have as compared to the other products available in the market?
So our novelty comes in our sealage layer. So most of the period products today, especially period panties, are not biodegradable because their sealage layer is made up of plastic, which is harmful to the environment, and most of the harmful chemicals found in the study was also from the plastic layer. But ours is a cornstarch plastic, which is biodegradable, and we'll be using different blends of it to make it into a durable form so that women from all sections of society can use it. Also, our focus is to make the assembly very modular, which helps women to actually assemble it in their, close to their homes. And that will make it more affordable and also bring financial security to these women.
Wonderful. My second and last, and I'll just give it to others, is how does it, menstrual cups are there, which are actually much better for the environment in terms of reusability and ease of usage. So what are your thoughts about it in terms of environment safety and?
So especially in India, there's a huge taboo with insertable menstrual products, especially with our outdated concepts of virginity and hymen culture. So that's why we wanted to bring something which is accessible to rural women and will be will have actually a large acceptance among Indian society.
So the idea is not very far from the concept that they already use, which is a cloth, right? So we are essentially doing the same thing, just making it safer for them to use.
So one thing we are doing as jury members is we are being quicker in our questions, so all get a chance. The question I have is why bamboo and banana? Bamboo has a high propensity of being a great layer to harbor viruses, bacteria, very, very easily. How will you address that if bamboo is your choice? So first, why bamboo and banana? And then second, how will you address the anti-seedal properties that you need to put in order to address it?
So why bamboo or banana? Firstly, it's natural. Secondly, this second layer needs to be highly absorbent, and these fibers have been shown to be highly absorbent of the blood. And regarding the bacteria part, of course, it's a major focus in our prototype development. There are current products which actually, especially so basically they use bamboo products, but they have some antibactericidal element to it, and we'll be looking into that and how we can make it safer. That will come in our development of prototype.
The only input I would give is just make sure then you have enough of trials that will be done, because your cost will spiral to do the anti-seedal on bamboo. It's not that easy. All right, I'm handing it to.
So again, a great problem. I think at the root of it, it seems to be a material science solution, obviously with specific use and so on. So one of the things that I want to understand is you mentioned about biodegradable plastic as one of the layers. Is that ultimately what will be the critical differentiator given the march of the technology?
Yes, so the biodegradable plastic is, I think, the critical differentiator, because the one thing that when we were coming across this problem, when we looked into why period pads are non-biodegradable and where the most of the dangerous chemicals coming from, it was the sealage layer, because there are products which use natural absorbent fibers, but the sealage layer is still plastic and it's still non-biodegradable. So that's where our main differentiator comes. We'll be using different blends of cornstarch plastic to make it durable enough and to actually provide it to the users.
What I would suggest is, given that you are from a science institution, you should look into how you could make the biodegradable plastic really, really next generation as part of this.
Yeah.
Just a suggestion.
Yes, thank you.
So a very good problem, I would say, and especially to be addressed by a female. And my question basically comes from aspect of the comparative safety. When you're saying that other are cancer inducing and all, so how safe product can we say this would be? One. Second thing is, does this product, can this product pass on the normal, the disposal, existing disposal systems? Like there are some machines and all which dispose such waste right now, right, in the market. So will this product can be part of that as well?
Yes, it can be. We'll be using the cornstarch-based plastic, which is not only biodegradable but also compostable. And we'll be the bamboo layer and the cotton layer are. You have something? Are.
My question was that, does this need a separate disposal system, or it can be part of the existing disposal chain itself?
This can be a part of the existing disposable chain as well, because the materials that we are using are daily life ones.
Thank you, Team Period Care. Please welcome our next team, Still Silk, who are here to propose an innovative approach to produce silk using biotechnological tools.
Dear guests, jury members, and fellow innovators, allow us, Team Still Silk, to take you on a little walk on the silk route. So silk has been of immense value to us for many, many years now. Early humans were known to make use of natural spider silk. Later, the serendipitous discovery of silkworm silk made possible the mass production of silk and its extensive use in the textile industry. Silk, being elastic and strong, also found its way into medical applications. However, extensive reverse engineering of the cocoon was required to reduce immunogenicity. In the meantime, spider silk production remained elusive. In the 1990s, biotechnology made possible the production of recombinant spider silk. Spider silk is a desirable material because it is more fiber-like, it is less immunogenic, it is lightweight, but it's extremely strong. It's almost as strong as steel. So currently, the global market for recombinant spider silk is valued at $2 billion and is only expected to keep growing as we go ahead. The lion's share of this market currently is held by the healthcare industry, where you have applications from coating implants to even making artificial ligaments and eardrums. And other industries are also quickly catching up.
Now, coming to the Indian side of the Silk Route, there are many amazing startups who are repurposing silk and silk bioproducts to apply in various biomedical applications, apart from the large luxurious silk textile industry. But if you can see here, the spider silk market in India is completely untouched, whereas a lot of key players have been coming up throughout the globe. This is where we would like to come in to produce recombinant spider silk, that is produce spider silk protein microbially, and for which we are asking for an initial amount of 20 lakhs so that at the end of 6 months, we can provide with a proof of concept. And by the end of the year, a prototype of our product, steel silk, which is recombinant spider silk fiber. Now this product can find use in various industries, and we are also open to different partnerships and collaborations to take this idea from lab to Indian market and from fiber to different key products of different industries. Now this proof of concept opens up avenues for R&D in the recombinant silk technology, which is a one-stop solution for a customizable, scalable, and sustainable form of producing silk from various forms of life. Thank you for your attention. We are Still Silk by Dishant Rasha. Thank you.
Excellent presentation. I think you covered it very well. Your graphics in the first slide were really good. I think you chronicled it very, very nicely. If you can help us understand what's going to be the process. Are you saying that you are going to engineer bacteria?
So this principle already exists,
Yes.
taking spider silk into bacteria and producing it. The challenge is the amount of yield and what kind of customization you need to do to get it to a proper commercial appropriate yield. So people have been doing it through various processes, various organisms as well. So we have a few ideas chalked out that what we would like to try to improve yield and also to bring this principle in Indian market as well. So that at least the companies who are using silk in medical industry can also try out this and see if there is a difference in healthcare.
So you spoke about that you've got a few approaches. What are those approaches?
So if
we would like to basically use microbial systems going into it head first. We would like to use yeast as our system because you can actually get the protein to secrete, so there's less steps that you have to do to get to the protein finally. So that's something we'd like to start off with, and then let's see how we can actually make the protein turn into the fiber.
And what will be your raw material source? What is it going to be? Sucrose?
So
basic bacterial growth medium, which is nutrient broth. And
initially with that, but let's say to make it cheaper or more sustainable, we'd like to explore other kind of raw materials to use as input.
Thank you.
Excellent presentation, as Dr. Lobo said. Just so you're going to design vectors for transformation, or?
So I think the vectors already exist.
So you
just need to take the gene for the spider silk.
So what is the different? I mean, you said that others are doing it, right? So what is your differentiating factor? Are you going to modify those vectors for better yield?
So we are going to use different combinations of vectors and genes because currently, at least the ones we know, they use some tag and then purify the protein using that tag. We would like to have a secretory mechanism to so that we don't have to go through multiple process of purification, which makes this product, the yield is very low in all kinds of markets. So if we can tap into that, and also the fact that in India, even the with tag purification is not done, so we would like to check out that, if that is feasible and process.
So you have things in mind what you want to mix and match.
Yes.
Okay, great, thanks.
So if you're talking about the companies in India, what they're doing is they're taking silkworm silk and then doing the whole reverse engineering into the fiber. But what we are planning to do is the recombinant way. So initially, I think our cost, let's say for pilot production, we need to test out expression conditions, expression systems. And finally, I think we want to try to reduce the cost when we scale up with different kind of input materials to make it more sustainable.
So other than Indian market, if we are looking at the global market, so they are also struggling with the yield, but considering they have a lot of infrastructure, they are able to produce enough. So we are trying to look into that how can we increase yield without needing too much of instrumentation power. But again, for the first standardization and all, we have to, this is just an idea, so we have to try and
Have you explored reaching out to industry which ultimately would find this of use and understood their concerns?
Not as of yet, but we do know that the companies that are already using the silkworm silk, they're already starting to enter the field. So they're already providing this to doctors to use in medical applications. So sorry.
So we would also like that once we have the proof of concept that we go ahead and ask them if they can use it, because as a thought it's interesting, but once we have the material in hand, maybe it'll be easier to convince them, or at least convince them to try it out in their products.
And given this is effectively a very, very open problem statement for any research lab, scientific lab of any nature, how would you think your journey would kind of, again, maybe asking the same question in a different way, how would this be different from somebody else doing this somewhere else? In a much more resourceful lab, in a corporate setup, or so on and so forth?
Our whole thing was that at least in India, as far as we know, nobody is doing it. And second, we want to have some scalability to it, and we have a few steps that we want to do to increase the yield, and let's see if we can do that. But we have looked into certain patents of other companies, and we have seen what they are doing and what are the differences different companies are doing, and trying to see if our idea can also bring about a different way of making this happen.
Sure, thanks.
Thank you, Team Still Silk. Up next, with an idea to power a sustainable world with clean fuels, we have Josh Energy.
The world was filled with darkness until one bright person came along with an invention of an electric light bulb that not only lit up his room for a couple of seconds, but for the entire world for centuries to come. Now, it's almost impossible to imagine a world without city skyline and the nightlife that surrounds it. But how many of us know that we pump out 2.4 billion tons of carbon dioxide every year into the atmosphere just to light up our homes? We at Josh Energy would like to present to you our vision of changing everyday objects into smart objects that can harvest the energy from the sun and utilize it to give it a smart ability. As our first project, we would like to transform something that's all around us, in every building, every home. But we don't give much attention to it. Windows. Presenting to you smart windows. With the ability of enriching it with third generation solar cell known as quantum dots and DSSE, we'll be able to make smart windows that'll be able to harness the energy from the sun during the day and use its harvested energy to power a small spawnicator on top of the window such that it has a self-cleaning ability. Also, with the many perks of having a smart window, the material that we use, quantum dot, has an amazing ability. It can use its luminescence at night as a nightlight. Imagine the immense potential that this has to transform the skylines of tomorrow, both aesthetically and functionally. Along with it, I did mention about self-cleaning ability. There are many skyscrapers in the city that are covered in glass. The huge amount of resources, both human and capital, is invested into cleaning such buildings. If we can devise such smart windows that can have the self-cleaning ability, we would be able to save on a lot of cost. I know it's a very bold statement to make, but we have already got our industrial client who is interested in our technology and would like to employ them after we get done with our research and development. This kind of technology has a growth rate of 12.4% CAGR, which means it's growing annually 12.4% and has an estimated market size of $10 billion. I know it's a very vast market, but we at Josh Energy have the Josh in us to make this a reality. Josh Energy, lighting up your future. Okay, I would appreciate
Excellent.
questions.
I think very good presentation. So just one small clarification. It says here you're going to use solar energy on the sheet here, but it doesn't mention there. So is there a difference? You're not going to use solar energy.
We are going to use solar energy. So along with the way we market this is as a smart window, along with the many perks of having a smart window, which is technically having the ability to contrast its brightness and also have self-cleaning abilities. We would also want to use certain third generation solar cells such as quantum dots into the making.
So you're going to put quantum dots into the glass, is what you're saying?
Yes.
You're going to have a possibly a nano coating on the glass of
Yeah,
quantum
as a
dots?
matter of fact, there are companies that are already invested in such technologies and been able to develop such devices. So we are confident that with enough resources from AIC SEED and other experts outside, we would be able to do this.
So I would request that you study it because it's humongously expensive.
True.
Humongously expensive. There is a ore which you may have heard of called perovskites. Have you heard of that?
Yes.
Perovskites is a far better option. So that's the science part of it. The other aspect of it is you mentioned that there's a company that's already engaging with you because you've made a prototype. Can you explain about the prototype? What are the early results you've got on this?
So
cost aside, in terms of your characteristics, how does it match with what's available in the market?
Sure, I appreciate that question. For 6 months now, I've been working in a lab that has been working on similar technologies, and we were able to get an efficiency of 13%. That's the highest so far. But given that we would be able to scale this in a way that we are marketing this as a smart window and not only as the solar harvesting capability, I believe we can bring a trade-off between the efficiency and the cost that is there in the market. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent presentation.
Thank you.
You spoke about scalability and, as Dr. Lover mentioned, it's expensive. What are your thoughts about, say, if I have better resources than you, what is stopping me from setting up these films in normal windows that are available?
Okay, excellent question. If I'm right, you are asking, aren't there other competitors outside the markets that are providing the same service that you're looking for? I really appreciate that question. Certainly, we would encourage more competitors to come into the market and challenge us in building a better prototype. As of now, we are still in the process of making a market viable product. hence we can't show it right now. But what we envision is that it's not only the quantum dot that is being sold here, it's the idea of having a smart window that can power itself to clean and also give other functions that are come along with a smart window.
So just a thought, I think yours is technology is slightly different from anything available, and that's why you have better efficiency. Have you thought of patenting it or?
Yeah, certainly. So currently this is being published in a paper, so it's common knowledge. But going forward, we would like to patent the technology if we get to a good efficiency rate. Having said that, I am continuing in the lab and will be able to learn more and more techniques in the similar domain. And in the future, I'm optimistic that I'll be able to come up with a patent. Thanks for your question.
Would like to point out that this Josh energy, this particular product is already available. Like there are other forms like LEDs and all which are available already in market with that particular trademark. So going ahead, if you want to be a have a different trademark, etc., you should be thinking about it from right now.
Sure.
So this was a comment, and now the question. You mentioned that there are other companies who are already making these films of quantum dots and putting on various surfaces, right? So the key differentiator of your product, what it would be? Like efficiency, we still need to check. Right. The cost also we need to look into whether or not the cost will be there. Is there anything else which you contemplate would be working in your favor?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. As of now, we are just students of science, so I was genuinely interested in this topic, and hence I came up with this idea. But obviously, with given resources and our combined manpower, we would be able to bring something very viable into the market, and hopefully that will be novel. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Josh Energy.
I appreciate your questions. It was really thoughtful. Thank you.
A stitch in time saves 9. This couldn't be truer than in disease diagnosis. Our next team is here with a business proposal in the healthcare domain. Please welcome Ermel with an innovative idea for disease diagnosis.
Good evening, everyone. Before starting our presentation, I would really like you all to smell yourself. Yeah, so just lift in your arm, then put your nose into your armpits and just smell yourself. Come on, I'll also do along with you guys. So let's have a good old sniff. Okay, so every one of you who have smelled might have had different experiences. Might be pleasant, might be less pleasant, according to your body odor, right? So it's no surprise that our body odor or a smell has a bit of bad reputation. If I say you that you smell, you're not gonna take that as a compliment, would you? Okay, so what if I say that we could use this smell in a positive way and put it in a good use? Actually, this smell is due to release of volatiles from our body, which could also be present in sweat. What if I think of using this in a diagnosis when we are ill?
Malaria, dengue, TB, and cancer are like one of the biggest killers of the planet. If we look at the statistics, there are millions of cases and thousands of deaths worldwide. Children under the age of 5 are most vulnerable. So there are current available diagnostics, but they are not in reach of everyone. Also, there are patients who develop immunity against the diseases and act as carriers. So current diagnostic fails to address this. So we have a solution for this odor-based detection of diseases, which is right under our noses. We are naming it as Ermel. Ermel stands for Eradicate Malaria, which is our motto as well. So Ermel, like we are starting with malaria because we have experience working in malaria labs, both of us, And we have consulted experts from different domains, fields, and came up with a plan where we'll be using sweat as a sample for detection of malaria. So compared to current diagnostics available, Ermel is better than that. Ermel is first of all non-invasive, can be used, like it does not require any expert supervision, and also it can be used in different settings like extreme conditions, low resource settings, and many others. So if you look at the current diagnostics market in India of malaria, it is very huge and expanding. So we plan to sell it to direct to customers and to governments and NGOs. To eradicate malaria with us, invest 15 lakhs in a project. Within next few months, we plan to develop prototype, then test it and release it in market. So come on, join us and let's eradicate malaria. Ermel, thank you.
So what exactly is the technology?
It's odor-based detection of diseases.
How do you do that?
Actually, when patient is infected with malaria, it releases, there is increased secretion of volatiles from our skin.
Which particular volatile for malaria?
Which particular volatiles you're saying? So there are particular groups of aldehydes, like octanol, nonanol, decanol, and like I took some examples, but there are a lot of them. So we are planning to detect those volatiles
And
through.
with what sensor? With what sensor?
No, it will be kind of kit, lateral flow assay kit, like same as pregnancy kit. So we'll just try to trap those volatiles, and we'll just load it on that, and we'll detect it.
So you'll pick up some sample of sweat.
Yeah.
And you'll put it into a LFA.
Yes.
Okay.
What is the likelihood of high sensitivity or specificity?
So actually, pregnancy kits or malaria has a rapid diagnostic kits also, which uses antibodies or aptamers, which are almost 100% specificity, like above 90% we can say. So we will be also using those aptamers technology in to detect these aldehydes. So it will be above 90% only as far as we went through some literature.
These aldehydes these are all validated biomarkers that the host secretes, because
so there is not a like one particular aldehyde. So we'll be detecting a group of we have decided to like choose group of aldehydes because there is no like one specific aldehyde which is showing increase.
So normally lateral flow assays work with antibody immobilization on the surface, right?
Yes.
On the polymer. How will you detect aldehydes on that lateral?
So we can use protein which could directly. We could use proteins which could bind to aldehyde, which could make protein aldehyde adduct, and then we can use the then it can directly detect to the that protein adduct. Antibodies can directly bind to that protein adduct, aldehyde protein adduct. Yeah. And aldehyde. Yeah.
Yeah, secondary detection.
Secondary detection, yeah.
I think very good presentation. You're trying to address a huge problem. The question I have is, malaria is accompanied with high fever, chills. There is no sweat. How do you manage this?
To address that problem, actually, whenever patient is infected, the volatiles will keep increasing. Like volatiles release will be like keep increasing. But so we can directly so our solution for that is
like a skin swab, and we will be providing a buffer with our kit. So we can put a buffer and then.
So we'll use buffer to trap those volatiles in it. We could just keep it on skin for some time, and then we can like load that buffer.
So
on
it isn't really sweat. It isn't really sweat that you're taking. Then.
No, it's odor-based detection. Same biomarkers are also found in sweat.
And you said that you're working with malarial.
Yeah. In previous semester, I had a project in malaria lab.
So it works. Does it work? Or you still, this is a
No,
prototype?
it was
you're
a
still thinking
different
about?
project actually, but we are used to like Plasmodium lab, that's all. And he had a
So-
project in
Okay.
in
All I'll
this
say is
summer.
that, when the body goes through infection, the surface area of the skin is amongst the most compromised, right? Because, there's vagaries. There's temperature, there is the blanket that somebody will put on them, air conditioning. There are different conditions in which a patient will be. But possibly you'll take all this into account when you build your prototype.
Yeah, there have been studies which shows that like on infection with malaria, this volatile profile changes, this increases. So we are trying to capture those.
So if I can ask one more question, why not design a sensor which did exactly what you did?
Oh, so there are sensors previously designed, but those are with breath analyzers. Like it could detect the volatiles from which are released from lungs, but those are really costly. Here we are designing kit which will be like very affordable to poor people also. Like it will be less than 50 rupees or something.
Yeah, malaria is like kind of disease which shows divide between like third world countries and first world countries.
But the principle is the same, right? The breath versus what you just talked about.
Yeah.
But
Not,
anyway, we can
not
talk about it
completely
offline.
same.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Thank you, Team Ermel.
thank you.
What do we do when there's a disease without suitable medicine available? We need drug discovery programs, and this can be a complex process from an idea to the launch of a finished product. Our next team is here with a solution to enhance the process of drug discovery. Please welcome PharmaQuant Solutions.
Take a wild guess. How difficult do you think it is for a pharmaceutical company to launch a new drug in the market? You will be amazed to know that on average, a single drug can cost more than $2 billion to get developed. Moreover, 95% of early drug candidates fail during clinical trials. Due to such high failure rates, it can take 10 long years to launch the new drug, resulting in the deaths of millions of patients who could not be saved on time. To solve this problem, we present to you PharmaQuant, a mission to discover better drugs faster than ever before using the power of quantum algorithms. So put on your lab coats and join us on our journey to find out how. For any disease, scientists identify cell targets that are involved in destructive downstream processes. Once these targets are identified, scientists can start building a profile for relevant drug candidates. However, you'll be surprised to know that pharma companies go on to screen millions of drug candidates without sometimes having an accurate 3D structure of the targets. PharmaQuant will solve this problem using the variational quantum eigensolver to accurately map out target structures and better simulate their interaction such that it becomes possible to find drug candidates that fit specifically into the target's binding pocket. Conventionally, pharma companies identify these drug candidates using high throughput screening, consuming an year or more and spending a fortune in the process. PharmaQuant will phrase this identification problem as a popular class of optimization problems called QUBO, which could be effectively solved on quantum annealers. This will enable us to expand our horizons and search through a library of billions of potential drug molecules while bringing down the search time to 3 months and reducing the costs by 1,000 times. Finally, pharma companies need to optimize identified drug candidates for increased efficacy, better absorption, and minimal toxicity. However, you guessed it right, this is also an extremely time-consuming process. PharmaQuant will use the quantum approximate optimization algorithm to virtually find exactly what side chains, ions, and other components need to be added or subtracted from the identified drug candidates to maximize their full potential, and finally allow us to find a small number of safe and chemically diverse compounds that can be tested in the lab. PharmaQuant aims to provide a range of software platforms consisting of flexible quantum algorithms that will aid every step of the drug discovery process. We are not here to solve isolated problems like our competitors. We are here to provide a one-stop solution that is only going to get better with time as the hardware for quantum computing evolves. With a growing market of $500 million and absolutely no Indian competitors, the drug discovery arena is ripe for some quantum innovation. And that is why I, Shivam, and my partner Ashley have combined our complementary skill sets for this colossal mission. And our ask today is 25 lakh rupees, which would primarily be spent on refining our proof of concept. The first part of which is going to be target modeling based on the principle of energy minimization in a water box system. Ultimately, we'll expand our team and bring our vision to reality by outsourcing quantum computing resources from providers like IBM. We are on a mission to save millions of lives through quantum. So will you join us? Thank you.
Excellent question and very relatable problem that you spoke about. You know, we are in the drug discovery domain. Very, very curious to know that I know there is enough computer-aided drug design that is available, AI, ML. What makes you different that you can carry out all right from target modeling to drug, because these are very diverse things, right? Target can be anything. It can be protein or fats, anything. It can. How is it that you, first of all, incorporate all these diverse system into your algorithm, and you need a lot of money for, especially because you're getting into the quantum domain.
Right.
What is it that basically makes you different and makes you so sure that you will be able to solve such a complex problem, which quite a few companies are have identified and are getting into?
Right. Would you like to take that?
So these are a bunch of questions that we definitely thought of while coming up with the idea. Starting with the existing companies that we have, for example, AlphaFold has gotten really popular. Now, AlphaFold solves these problems using deep learning, which means that it looks at already existing protein sequences and compares these problems with those, and based on the trends of how they behave, they're going to be predicting how the molecule in question is going to behave. However, this compromises on the unique solution or the unique properties that we might be looking for in a molecule. Second of all, our existing classical computers are simply not powerful enough to simulate large molecules, and it takes days, years, months, I don't know, a lot of time for them to simulate any kind of molecules that are involved in this drug discovery chain. Now what we bring to the table is that we are trying to find what we bring to the table is that we are understanding the pain points of the pharma company and trying to build an input from those pain points to the quantum algorithm chain, which when fed into our softwares can give us outputs that can help solve the drug discovery problems.
I think one small thing can I add? So an interesting point you raised about the target model can be proteins or fats or anything. The thing about quantum is that we are modeling everything at an individual electron level. So that quantum and all these molecules are obeying the laws of quantum physics. So quantum is by definition a better technology to model these systems, because if you're modeling everything at an individual electron level, it becomes possible to find ways to model different types of molecules.
Fair enough. I think quantum, the granularity that it brings is different. My question comes back to the same thing. You talk about DeepMind's this predictive, but ultimately you will also have to go into the predictive modeling, right? With the data sets, the protein structures that are available, the DNA structures that are available, you will have to ultimately go back to that predictive modeling. How will you simulate something right from scratch? Even structural biologists haven't been able to identify structures of so many proteins.
Right. So maybe I can explain how the variational quantum eigensolver works. So what we are trying to do is minimize the energy of a molecule. And what helps us, variational quantum eigensolver is really good at doing that. And once we find the ground state energy of a molecule, we can find what the parameters of that molecule will be. Coming back to your question about DeepMind, DeepMind is a fundamentally deep learning based model, and sure, it's becoming better and better at predictive power, but it's still very bad at taking interactions into account. What quantum helps us to do is take interactions into account much better. And sure, we are not saying that we are going to work in isolation with AI or ML. Ultimately, we are going to bring all of them together and help us simulate everything, maybe not everything from scratch, but we'll be able to simulate things better with just classical ML. Quantum machine learning is a growing field which will help us in this journey. There's a lot of things. So there's molecular dynamics simulation. There is density field theory simulations which could be done better on quantum computers. There are many other types of, so variational quantum eigensolver is a more from scratch based solution, but there are other quantum machine learning type solutions which could be implemented, and there's many things that we can do.
Adding to that, current existing problems are basically looking at these targets and these proteins as some static structures. And we understand that in our bodies, they're not in the form of a static structure. They're continuously in a solvent state. And using quantum algorithms, we'll be able to account for that solvent state that the target molecules are in, and the fact that their conformation changes, that their structures are changing continuously, and we'll be able to simulate that better.
No, MD does that, but at a classical level. So always at a classical. Exactly. So even at an atomic level, when there's so many atoms involved, you can't do these calculations exactly. You'll have to resort to some sort of approximate. Quantum can do that exactly. So that's the difference. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So there are many questions I want to ask you. I'm trying to choose which one to ask. See, the simple question, what will prevent another physicist and a biologist to come together and do the same thing? The quantum computing principles are the same.
Right.
There are plethora of platforms today that do exactly what you coined really well, accelerate discovery. So it's accelerate drug discovery, accelerate all kinds of discoveries are nowadays hugely accelerated. So what will prevent another, pardon me, but another Sheldon Cooper and an Amy Farrow Fowler coming together to do this?
You want to take that? Okay. I think the simple answer, the legal answer is that we'll patent our technology and we'll come up with innovative algorithms. So this is our research field. So we are, I won't say expert, but we are going to be experts in this field. If you look at all the companies there on the screen, all of them on their boards have professors and all these people on their boards. So they are developing innovative solutions, and they are solving the same problem, but in different ways. Each problem, as ma'am said, these problems are so diverse. Ultimately, we'll be able to find our niche and find a specific type of problems to solve. But till then, it's a journey of exploration.
Second question, which I'm sure you'll address as you go along, but how do you intend to enter the doors of the pharma companies?
You have 20 seconds to answer that. How do you intend to enter
the doors of the pharma companies? Yeah.
Yeah, so we found one customer already now.
Conflict of interest, no? She already got the gift for being the judge. But seriously, if you have to build this at scale, you will need deep pockets. It's not easy. The reason quantum computing works at the molecular level today is because you don't have to dispense millions of dollars. The moment you start going down to atomic level, for drug discovery, you need to start having deep pockets. Pharma companies will be more than happy to give it to you, provided you have the deep pockets and they can rely on you.
Right.
So how will you enter these pharma companies? You need at least one big marquee pharma company. I'm not saying Parul's is not. It is amazing, but...
Yeah, so...
Team PharmaQuant, I think that's something to think about. I'm sorry we have to cut you short in the interest of time.
Sorry, we'll answer it later.
But thank you for such an elaborate Q&A session.
Thank you.
Our next team is also in the healthcare domain and arrives with a promising strategy to tackle dengue fever. Please welcome Team Abdom.
Good evening. The problem I'm going to talk to you about today is the one we all Indians are extremely familiar with. That is the problem of this neglected tropical disease called dengue. Every year, the world sees around 400 million cases of dengue, yet there is no known therapeutic for dengue. Medical professionals rely only on symptom control. What makes dengue a bigger issue is that dengue has 4 major serotypes, and a secondary infection with another serotype can lead to deadly effects such as dengue hemorrhagic fever and dengue shock syndrome. Last year, with the vision to develop an all-round recombinant antibody therapeutic against dengue, a group of 10 students participated in the world's largest synthetic biology competition, IGEM, and worked on this project extensively for a year. This problem is personal to us. 5 out of 10 previous team members, including me, have been previous victims of dengue. And I'm very happy to share with you that we have ideated and synthesized such an antibody therapeutic here at IISER Pune, and we have a proof of concept that shows that our antibody therapeutic successfully neutralizes the dengue virus and has the potential to hit the market as the first antibody therapeutic against dengue. Our endeavor was also recognized in Paris at the Aijan Giant Jamboree, where we won a gold medal along with 8 special prize nominations and became the first Indian team to make it to the top 10 out of 350 teams worldwide. With our in-hand POC and extensive literature review, we are confident that our technology can be applied to any and every disease that can have monoclonal antibodies made against it, and we can expand to make a modular antibody therapeutic library that will be efficient, potent, and cost-effective. In the next 6 months, we plan to incubate our startup here at IISER Pune, file for a provisional patent, apply for national and international grants, including the BIRAC BIG grant, and reach out to pharma and biotech companies. Indian biotech giants like the Serum Institute of India and MyLab Discoveries have already shown interest to collaborate with us on this project. We have science backing our idea, a team working on developing this project continuously, and a vision forward. With adequate resources and your support, we are confident that we can change the field of antibody therapeutics and help millions worldwide. Thank you.
So, can you just tell me briefly how the product would look like?
So this would be a single chain fragment variable. Can you go back a slide? So a single chain fragment variable is basically the variable domains of a full length antibody chopped off. And now the natural question is, why not just use a full length antibody against dengue viruses? Because dengue viruses have this special trick up their sleeves called as antibody dependent enhancement, where they use full length antibodies FC region to increase their viral activity or the viral load inside the human body. So it is a protein therapeutic.
So this, as you said, would be like sent to hospitals and all for the tertiary care hospitals?
Yes.
For treatment, right? For diagnosing, is that?
This is a therapeutic, not for diagnosis.
Not for diagnosis, okay.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
I think the way you described it is really, really interesting, creating a platform starting with this. If that is really true, then I think what you really need to look at is not serums and others of the world from India, but you really need to look at Pfizer and Novartis and the likes, really. And if it's really true what you're saying in terms of POC, then I think you have a great potential, but you probably need to think through on the technical aspects a lot deeper to make the claims, but otherwise fantastic claims.
So what's your journey ahead now? I think you've managed the proof of concept, haven't you? So what's your journey ahead?
So the way we look at this is single chain fragment variables are an amazing proof of concepts in vitro, but single chain SCFEs, they are very expensive to produce. Even if they are not as big as a full-length antibody, they have intramolecular disulfides, which are not folded very well in normal E. coli chassis. And if we want to make this therapeutic affordable and accessible to rural regions across the world where dengue is more prevalent, we'll have to figure out methods to kind of at least come up with a better framework region for SCFE such that we can easily produce them in bacterias or optimize the bacterial expression and purification process for our SCFEs.
And you intend to do this yourselves?
Of course not. This is not a two-person job. We will definitely take inputs from virologists, protein engineers from all across the world.
Largely you're going to run the project. You're going to,
Yes.
That's what you're saying
Yes.
your pitch is for.
Yes.
Yeah, also the proof of concept we have is a preliminary in vitro proof of concept. So we need to work more on getting it tested in vivo. So that is also a very important step, or like if we clear that, then there is going ahead. But yes, after in vitro, we want to try it in vivo.
So what's going to be your timelines like now from your own?
We are not sure yet of the timeline, but we plan to at least start certain in vivo studies in the coming year.
Kudos to your team to get into therapeutics, a very difficult domain. The Fe fragment that you're talking about, this is against what antigen?
It's a E-dimer epitope. So it's a E-dimer epitope that is conserved across all the 4 serotypes of dengue, and that is the particular reason why we are choosing C10 antibody, which targets the E-dimer epitope on all the 4 serotypes, which is well conserved across all the 4.
So there have been studies on that particular epitope,
Yes.
if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
Regarding antibody, it might not be, it's not FV, it is
Yes.
a full antibody
Yes.
that's there.
Yes. So our idea was initially to kind of test this out for SCFEs, see if we can get the same neutralization ability in SCFEs, which we did. We performed a virus-like particle fusion assay where we determined that yes, our SCFEs do indeed neutralize the dengue viruses.
And all four, there's no, all 4 serotypes it could.
Yes.
That's excellent. What's the high half-life that you were expecting for this?
Yeah, so this is a major problem we run with our therapeutics.
That's what the major problem
Yes.
with the...
So SCFEs have a very short half-life, 6 to 7 hours. So for that, we actually have another approach where we want to hijack the mechanisms of the FcR and neonatal receptor, where we can kind of extend its therapeutic half-life through recycling and transcytosis that happens with normal IgG, which gives it the stellar half-life of 21 days.
If you can do that, that's a major problem. You know,
So-
that platform can be useful for a lot of other...
Actually, we have a peptide which, so we have designed a peptide which interacts with the FcRn receptor to increase the drug's half-life.
And what's the, I'm sorry, I'm just taking a little bit. What's the immunogenicity of that peptide? Because ultimately that will, in a compromised individual, that's what is going to happen.
So we actually haven't studied that yet. That is something that is still on our bucket list in terms
that
of...
you should start with.
Yes.
The immunogenicity
Yes.
is what you should start with, is what...
But my understanding is that anything below 65 kilodaltons is not that immunogenic.
You need to show.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Team Abdom. Up next, we have Team Concatamers with another innovative proposal in the disease diagnosis domain. Please welcome them on stage.
Today, we live in a world where boundaries have blurred and distances vanished. People are traveling at unprecedented scales within moments. This gift of globalization but now unveils its dark side. Infections, once confined by geography, now traverse freely across the globe, exploiting the interconnectedness of our modern society. COVID-19 is a recent example, and there are speculations that we will be facing another such pandemic within a decade. And it is likely that it will be of zoonotic origins, as most infections to humans are caused by animals. This not only threatens human lives, but also affects the livelihood of people involved in animal rearing. So this brings us to the question, what can we do? First, we need proper channels of mass diagnostics for both humans and animals. Second, we need to keep track on variants which hamper the eradication efforts. And third, we need to screen asymptomatic cases which persist in population. Welcome all. We are Team Concatamers, and we have come up with a solution. We are developing a chip-based isothermal multi-detection kit which will not only tackle these challenges, but will do it at cheaper prices, faster rate, and with bare minimum resource requirement. This chip is designed to be user-friendly for an untrained person to use, and it can process multiple human and animal samples simultaneously. It has been observed that prior to an epidemic outbreak, sewage water can be a good proxy for early detection, and our kit is fully compatible in detection in wastewater and food samples as well. Using this kit, we will be first diagnosing H1N1 and avian flu because these are infectious to humans and have commercial interest. This is the brief workflow for our kit, which is sample processing, incubation, and then the readout, which is colorimetric based for easy visual detection. And our kit is cross-compatible with smartphone-like devices for quantitative data generation, and the information generated can be shared with concerned parties effectively.
Our kit also has great commercial potential, as the combined market size for in vitro diagnostics for humans and animals in India is nearly 20,000 crore rupees. And with the increasing number of zoonotic diseases, it is expected to have a huge impact in its growth in the coming days. The need for better surveillance for zoonotic diseases was also recently discussed in the G20 summit held in India, and World Bank has also recently approved $82 million funds for its prevention. As a business model, we are mainly targeting point-of-care centers, pathology labs, and animal farms as our major customers. We are also aware of the competitive landscape in this field, with several companies already having approved kits which are either antigen or RT-PCR testing based. Our key differentiator from these products will be the extreme sensitivity of this technology, low cost and time requirements, and multiplexing capability with ability to detect variants in both human and animal samples. Our ask is initial investment for procurements of reagents and consumables. And our team is already working on malaria detection using this technology and have promising results with that. The team members also have expertise in the field of biotechnology and its applications. Since animal healthcare is neglected in India, and currently there are global efforts for eradication of zoonotic diseases, our kit is expected to pave a way forward to it. In conclusion, our kit is future ready with the potential to prevent future epidemic outbreaks, alleviate economic losses, and make animal and human diagnosis cheaper and easier for everyone. Thank you.
Very good presentation. I see that you said team developing malaria detection using this. Are you talking about the previous team or you?
No, it is our separate project.
You have done. So, why this project? I know you said because you're going to eliminate, you being able to detect it better, eliminate it, right? But why do you want to create a kit which will address so many of it? So if you go to your previous slide, you're trying to, unless I've got it wrong, are you trying to map multiple, infections in one kit? Is that what you're saying?
So we will be developing two kind of testing kits. One will be for H1N1 and second will be the avian flu. So H1N1 is more threatening to human lives, and the avian flu is for the commercial aspect because poultry farms need those kind of testings.
And so you're going to deploy this more in animal husbandry?
Yes.
You're not going to do this at airports?
Yeah, diagnostic is also, in human is possible, but our focus is also on the animal sector.
I saw your airplane in the corner and I said, I thought you're trying to do this in transit areas. All right. And how does this compare now with competition? There are kits that are already available globally, particularly for, animal.
Yeah.
So how do you compare with those?
So the current testing price for example, avian flu even in hens is around 10,000 rupees, but our kit is manufactured in 300 rupees. So first of all, it cuts the cost there. And secondly, the assays are simple. Even a layman can do it. Hence, no professional trained person is required for these kind of tests. And routine screening can be done to track the infections earlier and then alleviate the losses.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent presentation. So this lamp, you will be needing, this is point of care, is what you are.
Yes, one of the potential customers will be the point of care.
Is point of care in farms and.
Yes.
So will you need a hardware for running the assays?
The hardware is just a heating pad as a prototype version, and later on we want to develop a chip which itself has a battery operated or solar power operated heating pad.
So wouldn't that increase the price and
So our initial estimates are with even considering that it should be less than 300 rupees for a single.
Including the heat pad.
So heat pad is the fixed asset here. In comparison to the PCR machines, which are thermocyclers, which are much more costlier than simple heating block. So there we are cutting down the price.
Okay, but rapid antigen test will be.
Yes, but the rapid antigen test is problematic because the sensitivity is very low and very high, as in the sense that they need.
Sensitivity is low. So this chip that you're developing, what will it have for detection? I mean,
so
it will have oligonucleotides?
Yes, so there are two kind of detection techniques which will be incorporating in this. First is the colorimetric based, which will be changing color when the pH of the reaction changes. Second is the fluorophore based, which will be read out using the camera-like device.
So wouldn't sensitivity be an issue? I mean, there's only a limit beyond which you will be able to see. Low infection rates will not be.
No, so we are also amplifying the nucleic acids using LAMP technique, which will enhance the signal, which will get at the end. Yes.
So the initial estimates are that the sensitivity is at par with what there is at like RT-PCR, which is gold standard right now.
Thank you, Team Concatamers.
Thank you.
Please welcome our next team, our VisionX Solutions, who aims at better forest conservation using efficient mapping and monitoring of forests. Please welcome them on stage.
Hello, everyone. Let me start with a simple question. How many of you enjoy spending time with nature? I surely love to do that. However, if you look at the situation of a forest, it's not that great. If you look at the pictures here and the statistics here, they are rather grim. For example, the forest fires, encroachment, then illegal timber trade and illegal animal trafficking, they have increased over the past decade. And the root cause for that is inefficient forest monitoring. Now, we confirmed that this is the reason when we had a chat with one of the IFS officer when we were trekking in the forest of Mount Abu, Rajasthan, where he said, definitely there is this problem of inefficient forest monitoring in India. And why is that? That is because we don't have proper demarcation of forest land. And the reason for that is we do have historical maps, which are good on paper, but we do not have this proper fencing on land. And we, being the researchers we are, we brainstormed over it, and we have come up with a unique two-phase solution.
So our innovative two-phase solutions includes two phases. One is that we are going to map the forest area, okay, and then we are going to extract information of locations where we can put up the infrastructure. Then the second phase is creating the infrastructure and then using this infrastructure to finally do the conservation, as you can see in the top part of it, okay? Let's talk about phase one. Phase one is mapping. In this, what we do is we collect data from different sources, such as historical maps from the department. We collect satellite data, we combine them together to create a composite map, which is GPS enabled. Now we extract information from this GPS enabled map, and we are able to identify where to put our fences and watchtowers, okay? So once we have that information, we go to phase two. Phase two is all about having these geofences, these smart geofences, which work not only as land markers, but also double as weather stations and sensor hubs. So what these do, these sensors in these geofences collect data 24/7, they send it to the cloud, they talk to each other as well, they send it to the cloud, and in the cloud, the data is being processed, which then sends alarm signals or alerts in case there is some mishap, such as forest fires.
Talking about the competition, there is a company called CyberSwift, which has implemented the phase one in the forest of Chhattisgarh. And there is a company named IORA. It takes up forest management projects, but it has not implemented phase one or phase two yet. Now, since our main innovation lies in phase two, that is geofencing, so we are planning to take up that and work in the upcoming 6 months, and we are planning to develop a pilot project on that. For that, we request an amount of 10 lakhs. Thank you so much. We are our VisionX Solutions, the solutions of tomorrow.
So it's an interesting problem to look at. But I'm a little unclear. Are you solving for intruder detection by smart geofencing, or are you solving for forest fires? I was a little confused.
So what are we trying to do is we are trying to create a infrastructure which does monitoring of the forest. So then that means these fences, okay, one will also demarcate the boundary, but then they will also have sensors which can be used to solve those kind of problems.
So physical fences, basically.
So not physical fences, as you can look in the image, these are not connected to each other, but they have this range of sensors which can actually work as a...
So what's the distance between these two pods or whatever?
It totally depends upon the topology. For example, if one fence is on the top of a mountain.
So it's a line of sight based?
Yes, kind of.
So that gives... Is it a network effectively that you're creating?
Yes, it's going to be a network.
But it's incredibly tough to do that in forests, right?
Yes, but then efficient forests are also in good interest, so we definitely have to do that.
Okay. There's one X-Prize problem statement on this, on forest fires, which you should look at. There's a lot of money.
So we are not only looking at forest fire, but we are also looking at other things. For example, smuggling, that might happen. So any kind of movement can also be detected with the help of this.
So the geofencing which you would be doing, which is in interest of the forest monitoring and all, who validates that whether that has been done correctly or not? Right, you may be doing something, you may be fencing it in a certain manner, but other party can question that, right? And that was the whole root of that this proposition you are bringing up. So who validates that fencing?
Okay, ma'am.
Is it done correctly or not?
Yeah, currently we are going to work on that. Luckily or unluckily, there is not much work in this area, but we are going to explore that, and definitely we are going to connect to other tech companies which have worked on this.
We are definitely going to talk to the forest officers as we have talked, because this is not the problem that we have come up with. We have gone to the forest and we have identified the problem as they said it. So definitely, if this is a legal question, I understand. So that kind of question definitely can only be solved with the help of officials.
Thank you.
Great problem statement. I understand that there's a need for mapping of forest, I think globally, that's a problem. How is it that you get access to, you need a lot of access to satellite imaging and...
So Bhuvan is one good example, right? So when we are working with government entities, for example, this forest area and officials, they can help us get that. So both are this is not just us doing this. This kind of work has been done before, like by CyberSwift. So definitely it's the forest department talking with the government and helping us get that data.
So you need that opening of the doors within the government to get access.
Yes, and the good thing is the forest department is actually willing to do that.
As I said, it's a good problem statement. The second question is related to how difficult is this mapping in dense forests, say where topology is very difficult to map. Can you get accurate data?
So we have not looked at that as such, but once we start looking at that, I'm pretty sure these forests have something known as watchtowers, for example. So they have this problem, but they are solving it with the help of watchtowers. So we have to, that's why we have to map the area to identify the places where we can put this, and hence get the better view of everything.
What comes first?
Yes. So that basically cannot be done until the mapping is done.
You mentioned that you need 10 lakhs to do phase 2.
Yeah, just for prototype, next 6 months.
What will you do in the prototyping?
So prototype is, we have to see, we have modeled it, right? We have to 3D print it, look at, embed certain modules into it, put them on the top of buildings to simulate a forest environment, and try to figure out if the technologies work or not, and then give a proof of concept of that.
You may need to revisit. In 10 lakhs, you're not going to be able to do. You won't be able to service 2 buildings. Because you're talking about sensors, you need access to. So see, even if you say you're going to the forest department, that's one part, right? You need geospatial mapping. Geospatial mapping today happens with only 3 companies in the world. One of them we use every day when we want to go from one location to another. It's quite expensive as a commercial entity to access this so that you will have accuracy. The other aspect, possibly you need to bear in mind, the boundaries of the forest anywhere in the world keep shifting, all points in time, because there's conflict between man and nature for various aspects, which you rightly said in front. So many aspects that you may need to look at. It's not, the intention is excellent. You may want to look at another solution because this infrastructure will cost significant. A country like India may not be able to afford it beyond one territory of the forest.
To that, I want to give you just one answer. Any solution looks expensive at first, but we have to remember that our forests are the most important resources that we have got. According to Niti Aayog, we only have 22% of land area in forest cover, which should be 33%. All the resources that you're talking of are going to be not there if the forests are not there.
That's undeniable. Across the world, not just India. The Amazons are also under threat.
True.
But there is a fine line between economic viability and the ability to have this deployed at scale. See, if this has to have impact, you have to look at it at scale. You can't have it, for example, one forest in the Sayadri hills of, let's say, Maharashtra.
Right.
It has to be at scale. That's the only input I have. Maybe you need to revisit the amount of money you're asking.
Right.
Huh?
Okay.
I'm
Thank you.
sure Shweta can give you, she's got deeper pockets.
Thank
Right.
you, team. Our VisionX
Thank you.
solutions. Certainly
Thank you so
something to
much.
think about. Thank you. The next team, Hydroplantics, is here to combat the climate crisis with a novel idea towards clean and sustainable energy. Let's welcome them on stage to share their proposal.
Good evening, all. You must have heard in the past couple of weeks, it's not global warming anymore, it's global boiling, as we recorded the hottest ever July in the history of humankind. Climate change, global warming, rising sea levels, these are terms we have been hearing for a long time, but it is an imminent threat now we cannot ignore anymore. The root of the problem is rising demands for fossil fuels, which constitutes 81% of global energy usage, releasing 36 billion tons of CO2 every year. The solution seems simple, switch to renewable sources such as solar, hydro or wind energy, but these sources have expansion limits. They are expensive and cause ecological problems. Among the current available sources for green energy, hydrogen has enormous potential. It is high yielding and can be stored to generate energy when required. This would have helped the European nations who were facing a shortage of natural gas due to the Ukraine-Russia war in the past winters. This helps us prepare for the future and stabilizes the cost of energy. So why are we not using hydrogen? Currently, it is not convenient to use hydrogen as a fuel at such a large scale due to its high cost of production. Well, inspired by nature, we came up with an idea to produce hydrogen in a cost-effective and green way. We intend to use Photosystem 2, a plant machinery capable of splitting water into hydrogen at a near 100% efficiency. We aim to carry out in silico gene modification, protein prediction, and protein interaction studies to reduce the cost of our experimental setup. The next step would be to express this modified photosystem gene in a suitable genetically modified chassis. The current methods of production of green hydrogen in the Indian market is majorly electrolysis, which makes it expensive. Our idea has the potential to reduce that cost significantly. With the Indian government pledging to reduce their fossil fuel dependency from 80 to 50% by the year 2030 and net zero CO2 emissions by the year 2070, our market potential is very bright. The Indian market for hydrogen is expected to grow to 6,500 crore rupees by the year 2030, and we will be the first in the Indian market to produce hydrogen and use it as a fuel at such a low cost. Our ask is 15 lakh rupees for computation analysis, developing a proof of concept, followed by prototyping, patenting, and optimizing for a profitable scale-up. So I invite you on our journey to change the face of the energy sector with Hydroplantics.
I think a very good approach. We need a lot more of fuel. Just for my understanding, what you're saying is you're going to engineer microorganisms, and like a PEM electrolyzer, they're going to split water into hydrogen and oxygen.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And how are you going to, so you're going to grow the organism separately on a substrate?
Yes.
And then you're going to put the organisms into a tank of water?
Not exactly a tank of water, but a medium consisting of water. So our approach would be to first develop a proof of concept, and then to scale up, we'll start increasing the amount of water that particular organism can uptake.
And CRISPR-Cas9 will only allow you to understand the gene sequencing. Have you been able to identify what kind of microorganisms are capable of doing this?
Right. So currently we have two microorganisms in mind. First is E. coli and second is cyanobacteria. Both have their advantages. E. coli, being extensively studied, provides us with a variety of options. While cyanobacteria, being a photosynthetic bacteria, it has a lot of inherent machinery which we want to modify. So going ahead, whichever organism promises us the desired output and maximal production of hydrogen, we'll be going ahead with that.
See, it's my knowledge, and this is a very esteemed institution, so pardon me if I get this wrong, but E. coli and yeast are the easiest to do various kinds of genetic modifications, right? They are amenable to it. So you can do a lot of synthetic biology in this. But is that organism going to be able to split hydrogen and oxygen from water? I don't know, maybe asking too much of an E. coli. It's like saying, I can become Arnold Schwarzenegger. You can see, it'll take me a few years to get there. But maybe there are organisms. There could be microorganisms. It's possible that you may need to do some search. And then look at those that are more amenable and then do your gene sequencing on them. But the idea is really good. I think you should pursue it. Yeah?
A point I'd like to say is that we are trying to express the photosystem 2 machinery, which already exists in plants, and they carry out this splitting of water at a very high efficiency rate. So expressing those in E. coli, and that is our aim. At the same time, there have been experiments and research made wherein plant photosynthetic paths have been expressed in E. coli successfully.
I agree. I don't disagree with that. I'm just saying you may need a microorganism that is more amenable to do that splitting. E. coli will reach its limitations.
Yeah.
Excellent problem statement. It's a much needed. Scalability is always an issue. Just that photosystem 2 is a multi-component system. Expressing it, all the components in E. coli at similar manner, making them active in a similar manner. How do you propose to do that?
Right. So that was a problem we also faced. So we plan to isolate the machinery. Preceding that, we would have to conduct extensive studies on it to isolate the part which is responsible for the splitting mechanism. And as you mentioned, it is a very complex machinery, and it is dedicated towards the production of glucose in a plant. And our selfish idea is to use that machinery to just split water. So we'll have to isolate them using suitable techniques.
Related to this is the question that photosystem 2 is a self-sustainable and a self-inhibitory system, right? Scalability, don't you think scalability will become an issue because your product can also inhibit the entire pathway where the splitting is actually going to take place?
Right. Again, the self-inhibitory pathway occurs when the whole system is in action. Our idea is not to express the whole photosystem. Yeah, just the necessary components to split the water.
In isolation, will those systems work is something which you need to identify?
Yeah, so yes, so that's the proof of concept we need to prepare. Yes.
So what is the product you contemplate to take to the market?
So a possible product would be at a large scale as a suitable bioreactor, which is which has the suitable medium to grow these organisms, and which will be producing hydrogen from an intake of water.
Okay, so these bioreactors would be like sort of sold to companies and other organizations wherein they can do that?
So it's right now we at a large scale those bioreactors can be operated by us or can be partnered with other companies who do this.
Okay, then it's this 12th month landmark you mentioned, increased efficiency.
Yes.
Right, so increased efficiency over which process? This process you are trying other, like a library of organisms or what?
So right now we have two organisms in mind, like I mentioned, the E. coli and the cyanobacteria. Increasing efficiency in terms of the intake of water and the output it produces. At the same time, if we give a surplus of water, the cell might not survive. So from the beginning to maximizing the output, wherein the cells also survive and we get the desired product. That is the optimization we aim to.
Fine. So here efficiency means in terms of the yield?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. Good luck.
Thank you.
It's a very, very interesting solution for a very important problem. I don't know so much about this, but is there anything in nature which does something like what you are proposing?
Right. So the photosystem 2 is a part of a photosynthetic pathway which splits water into hydrogen. Yeah. So that is the inspiration, and so it's a very highly efficient enzyme since it's occurring in nature, and we aim to isolate the parts which is splitting the water.
And has this not been done before? If not, why not?
So yes, when this was discovered, obviously the solution came to a lot of people's minds, but the current limitations occur in the form of isolating and studying these gene fragments and their expressions. A lot of research was started a lot of time back when there were not adequate computational methods available. Right now we have a variety of them and quite powerful methods available in the market. And
Thank
we
you,
believe
Team Hydroplantics. Sorry to cut you off. Yeah.
Thank you.
Our last team of the evening is here with an innovative alternative to traditional batteries, proposing a step towards a green energy-based sustainable world. Please welcome Team Nav on stage for the last pitch of the evening.
Hello everyone. How many of you here uses the smart wearable on a daily basis? I guess all of us. But have you ever encountered this problem that they need to be constantly charged? And sometimes this can be frustrating. They also use lithium-ion batteries, and these raises some safety concerns. But don't worry, we are here with a solution. Our solution is chemically chargeable photo batteries. These batteries uses a unique approach in the sense they use light as a node to trigger a discharge chemistry in the cathode. This is an aqueous rechargeable battery, and this can be recharged in just 30 seconds. This is a rapid charging battery that does not require an external power source. The innovator of this idea is our professor from IISER Pune, Professor Mustafa Mohammed. And we are proud to announce that this technology is already patented. Our battery is better from other batteries in the sense that it requires less time and less voltage to charge, and also it is resistant to capacity fading. And it is also an environmental friendly initiative. So what we plan of doing is that we can incorporate these batteries in these smart wearables. And for that, we are planning a B2B marketing strategy with the companies that already make these smart wearables, such as Noise and Boat. So we'll be working with them to design a model that is compatible with these batteries. These models would be transparent so that they could be discharged by light. Our plan for the next 5 months is very clear. In the first 2 months, we are planning to work on the prototype of this model and launch a final product design and a prototype in the end of 2 months. And in the next 2 months, we are focusing on marketing analysis and cost effectiveness. In the last month, that is December, we are planning to launch a pilot project that would give us an idea of the adaptability of this product in the market and how well it is received. The reason you should invest in us is that this product has a very big market size, and also this is eco-friendly, which is like growing now. Thank you.
So, a nice idea. I just wanted to understand what is the obviously it's a research from IISER that you are looking to commercialize,
yes.
Which is a great thing. What is the relevance of the technology to wearables specifically? Is this a very high energy density, or is there something specific about the technology?
Yeah, so actually the capacity that this battery provides right now is around 80 mAh, and so it is like not compatible very much with the smart wearables, but we are starting with it so that, like they require less capacity.
Do you know what this battery would what would be the battery in this roughly?
The capacity?
Yeah.
So it would be 400 mAh,
Yeah.
but
So
we have to develop this a bit. So
okay, so currently it's at 80 and it can go
yeah,
to 400.
Currently you can see it's at a lab stage,
Right.
and we need to compact this into a battery so that it can be used in these wearables.
Any particular reason you're focusing on wearable? I can't make the connection. I mean, obviously it's a...
So we are we are just planning to start with the wearables to launch these, and then if we are able to develop the capacity of the battery, we can also use this in automobile sector, like the car battery and all, and the electronic vehicle that is also in very much demand till now. I mean nowadays, but particularly now we are focusing on smart wearables so that we can get a start.
So is it more tuned towards smaller form factors that wearables need and a high packing density?
Yeah, like this battery can be like most easily be developed into wearables now. So it's just the focus for now.
So the basic technology which you would be using for designing this product is with IISER?
Yeah, it's already ready and it's patented, but yeah, we need to buy the patent. And I've consulted with Professor Mustafa, and he is like willing to cooperate with us.
Okay. So coming to this, as you mentioned that this particular battery is right now at a lab level, and
Yes.
you wish to upgrade that. So basically what you want to start with your work is the designing of
Yeah.
the battery itself, right?
Yes.
Which would be suited for wearables.
Yes.
Right? So
Yes.
this is the first phase, and for
Yes.
that you would need 40 lakhs?
No, for the designing and for the R&D, and we are also planning.
R&D is done, you said, right?
Yeah, R&D is done, but the final design is not there. You can't use this battery in wearable, so we need to like develop it more so we can use it.
You have to fine tune that.
Yeah, and additional funds like from 40 lakhs, actually most of the funds would be utilized to like make the final product, and we are also in this 40 lakhs only, we are also planning to make a manufacturing unit, a small manufacturing unit that can make some prototypes so we can launch a pilot project, because for that we need some products.
Thank you.
Okay.
Very nice patent for, because photo activable batteries are already available. What exactly is the patent for?
So the patent is like these batteries, they degrade, the anode and cathode, they degrade over time.
Yeah.
But here it's shown, it's the graph is from the research paper, that the capacity does not degrade over time. So even after the 100 cycles, you get the same capacity, and like you won't get a decreased power over time.
So longer lasting battery, but currently you have to make it better in terms of efficiency.
Yes.
And what about what are your views on motion activated wearables that are currently coming up? They get charged when you move your hand, right? So how does it compare with them? Mechanical charging versus photo.
I mean, it's a good idea, like, but for people who have stagnant lifestyle, they just want to sit. Yeah, but like headphones and all, so it can. I mean, you just need to sit there. You don't need to move.
So firstly, I think you did a good job.
Thank
you. You explained it really well. Can you help me understand what is the cathode, the anode, the electrolyte?
Yes.
Would you know that?
So the cathode and anode is titanium nitrate, and the electrolyte used is per sodium sulfate, and yeah, so only these two are the main materials we require for.
So to answer the question why only variables is because if you use titanium, it's expensive. The other, there's compositional limitations. That is the reason. That's why lithium battery is lithium battery.
Yeah.
Otherwise, lead acid battery would be easily, moved, or alkaline battery. But I think it's excellent. It's good. You definitely need to move in this direction. There's always applications under the sun for all kinds of batteries. Good
Yes,
job.
so this is just a starting. We also make batteries for other sectors, such as I told, automobiles, and like that's a future plan. But first, we are starting with a small take, so we can proceed.
Thank you, Team Nav.
Thank you.
With that, we come to the end of the business pitches. It takes so much courage to be innovative, to come up here and propose a business idea. So for being so fearless in the spirit of entrepreneurship, please give a round of applause to all our participants. We will now give our jury some time to compile their evaluations and decide the results of this competition. We've arranged tea and snacks for everyone, so please join us outside for a quick refreshment. I'm sure you're all eagerly waiting to know which team will win STEP 2023 and which teams will be selected as STEP Fellows. So be sure to come back in 15 minutes to know the results. The evening, the moment all the teams have been preparing for. It's time to hear the jury's decision. But before we get to that, I'm sure we'd all like to hear from the jury themselves. So judges, I request you to share your thoughts and feedback on the STEP Idea Pitch event. We'd love to hear about your experience this evening.
Loud otherwise. No, congratulations to all the teams who pitched over here. It's not easy at such a young age to formulate an idea in a 3-minute pitch. You've been very, very harsh to give them only 3 minutes, but all of you did a fantastic job, and congratulations to you for that. Plus, the quality of ideas was absolutely excellent and at par with all the world, not only Pune and India. So again, big congratulations to the team. The way that you presented, the way you thought about, even at this young age, thinking about taking a scientific idea into a business opportunity itself is a big achievement. So no matter who top 6 are there, you all are winners anyways. I don't think I had that courage to think of that idea during my BSMS. So again, and wonderful to see the ideas, great to see the innovations, and I really hope that all 12 of you set up your own companies and take these ideas so that the world can see what wonderful work you all are doing. So congratulations and all the best.
So likewise, like Parul said, it's amazing to see so many fresh ideas from young people here. I think you're in a very lucky place. IISER is one of the best science university in the country, and you have a quantum center here. You have a bunch of other pretty great initiatives being in the city of Pune, and to see that you are all taking advantage of that, coming up with these new ideas, whether it's from the world of energy, biology, diagnostics, quantum, the whole range, right? It's so amazing. And I wish I could just figure out a way to help literally every one of you, because like she said, I couldn't have done this at your age, but I just find the fact that you're doing this to be worthy of great applause. So pat yourself, all of you, on the back. You've done a great job, and keep it up. If at any time any help is required, I'm more than happy to support whatever I can. I think Shweta has my details. Thanks.
Thank you, judges. May I also please invite Dr. Swaminathan Shivaram to share his concluding remarks. Dr. Shivaram is the founder director of AIC SEED, our guide and mentor. He has been our driving force and the inspiration for STEP, strongly encouraging AIC SEED in our efforts to support student entrepreneurship at IISER Pune.
Okay, is it on? Is it on? Okay. I tell you, this is the second year I'm sitting here. I sat here last year, and amazing, presentation. Honestly speaking, is mind blowing. It is everyone who made this presentation today, set my mind thinking, and asking whether we are doing justice to all of these ideas, And I think every one of these ideas requires to be pushed ahead. Okay, it's not just for winning a prize; it has to be pushed ahead, and that's where the real life starts. All the the sweat and the struggle will start now. Okay, so be ready for it, because without that sweat and the struggle, there is no ecstasy at the end of it all, right? So you need to prepare yourself. But I can tell you, and I agree with Parul, I agree with everybody who has spoken here, and I just now, Dr. Richard Lobo just went and he spoke. He told me that it's been one of the wonderful experience, but then I've been talking to Arvind as to how do we keep this energy level up day in and day out, and not fizzle it out, in some manner. It should not happen that, we are at a very high energy level today, and after 3 months we are all back to square one, thinking about some mundane grades of an exam, or how to get some better quality, better grade in an exam, or how to pass this exam, and all those things. To me, they are the least interesting thing in life. Unfortunately, that's what all of you are unnecessarily burdened, But we need to make sure that in spite of all that compulsions of everyday life that you are all subjected to, this energy doesn't go away, okay? And we build on this energy, and I hope that you will tell your friends that I want more people to come here, okay? Okay, there's no limit, all right? I tell you, there's no limit, okay? There's no reason why we should give 6 prizes. We can give 15 prizes, okay? But provided I have 100 entries, okay? So I won't give 15 prizes with 24 entries, okay? So for 24 entries, maybe 6 prizes is okay, But if I have 100 entries, we can organize 20 prizes, okay? So the challenge is both ways. Supply side, we have to increase. More ideas should come, okay? Irrespective of how good they are, they should come. And we should have the ability to come and pitch and defend our ideas. And the second thing is, once being here, irrespective of whether you win or lose, everyone is a winner. I think somebody mentioned that in the morning, in the beginning of the program. I think you mentioned it. Everyone is a winner today, okay? Because you have had the courage to do this. And therefore, your journey must go on, irrespective of whether you win or lose. Your journey must go on, and this journey will be tracked, okay? And that is something that I have just talked to Arvind, and we are going to track this journey this year much, much closely than we did last year. There has to be a process for this, and we are establishing a process, and this journey will be tracked, okay? And we will make sure that, resources be made available to you if you are really making progress, okay? All right? I mean, nobody will be denied of resources if you really need it, okay? I'm willing to pay it out of my pocket, okay? I've told this, to Shweta, if somebody needs money, come to me, I'll pay it out of my pocket, okay? I don't have to bother anybody for that, right? But you must have the courage to use that money well and drive your agenda, and move forward, okay? So great. I think this is a wonderful, evening today we have had. I wish we had full house, That's what I miss. We have, I think we have 1,800 undergraduate students. Huh? So at least I should have 500 here, okay? So I think tell your friends, okay? They should come here, and listen to these things. I told from next time onwards, I want to have some music, I want to have some stand-up comedy, everything here, okay? I want that, okay? So I want, in fact, I know 2 stand-up comedians who speak about entrepreneurship, Okay, we bring them here. Okay, all right. So we bring musicians. Okay, all right, and I want them to come here. So this format has to change. Okay, so we need to get more energy in the auditorium, and then of course we'll have, by the way, some pitches of entrepreneurship. Okay, so we need to make this more fun for the people who are trying to spend their time here. I think that's what we should do. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Shivram. And now it's finally time for the results. I'd like to invite Dr. Chinchure onto the stage while we announce the results. As we mentioned earlier, 6 teams will be selected for the StEP Fellowship. But this competition was super competitive, and the jury has decided to select 7 teams instead of 6. Are you ready to know which teams they are? Here we go. In 7th place, we have Team Still Silk. Please come on stage. In 6th place, we have Team Concatamers. In 5th place, we have Team UniCare. Up next, in 4th place, we have Team Period Care. like to invite Dr. Shivram and our jury members as well on stage as we announce the top 3 spots. So the second runner-up in the StEP 2023 competition is Team PharmaQuant. The first runners-up for the StEP 2023 is Hydroplantics. And now, the moment we've all been waiting for. The winner of StEP 2023 is Team Abdom. Steve Jobs once said that about half of what separates successful entrepreneurs from the non-successful ones is pure perseverance. With that in mind, we'd like to acknowledge the rest of our teams tonight. You were incredible with your creative ideas, and we'd like to extend our encouragement to these entrepreneurs in the making with a token of appreciation. First, we have Team Sentinel. Please come on stage. Josh Energy. Next, please welcome Team Ermel. Next, Team VisionX Solutions. And the last one of our brave teams who competed tonight, Team Nav. Please stay on stage, Team Nav. And can I please call the other teams as well on stage for a group photo? The Sentinel, Josh Energy, Ermel, VisionX, and Nav. We'd also like to have all of the other competitors from today, including the 7 StEP fellows. Please come on stage for a group photo. Can we have the jury on stage as well, and Dr. Chinchure, Dr. Shivram? As Dr. Shivram said, we're all winners here today. And we're so excited to have all the teams that competed tonight on stage for a group photo. As Elon Musk once said, if something is important enough, or you believe something is important enough, even if you're scared, you'll keep going. With this thought, we'd like to remind all our participants and the audience that what we aim to celebrate here today is the spirit of entrepreneurship. Your ideas are always welcome. AIC SEED has its doors open. And to the audience, well, we hope to see some of you here on stage next year. With that, we come to the end of this event. We cannot wrap up without thanking some of the people who are instrumental to conducting this event. First, the sponsors of AIC SEED StEP, Expanded Polymer Systems Private Limited, Deepak Nitrite Limited, Saujanya Colors Private Limited. Mr. Jashan Bhumkar, the founder of Saujanya Colors, is also here with us today. The members of our grand jury, Dr. Parul, Dr. Nitin, Mr. Sanjay Fadke, and Dr. Richard Lobo. Thank you so much for taking time to attend this event. And of course, our special guest, Dr. Arvind Chinchure. We'd also like to thank the dignitaries and guests that we had from industry, fellow incubators for taking time from their busy schedule to join us today and grace the occasion with their presence. I must also thank the Board of Directors of AIC SEED, Professor Sunil Bhagwat, Professor Jayant Udgaonkar, Dr. Shivram, Professor Nirmalya Ballav, Professor Sanjeev Galande, Dr. Arvind Chinchure, and Dr. Apurva Palkar. I must also thank Colonel G. Rajashekhar, the Registrar, IISER Pune, the faculty members of IISER Pune, and of course the team and the staff for the smooth organization and running of this event. A big thanks to the IISER Pune students, all the participants, volunteers, and the audience. We sign off with gratitude for your cooperation and making this a special event for us. This is Gauri with Team AIC SEED, Ms. Shweta Uttam, Ashwin PK, Kritika Chatterjee, and Prateek Patil. Thank you and good night.